Hello, everyone, and welcome to Osquery Office Hours. It is July, and at least here in the Boston area, it's a little warm. Hopefully, the weather is good where folks are. Maybe the bits are flowing or something. Announcements and highlights since last meeting. I think probably the first announcement is that 5.18.1 was cut. And probably talk about that down in our agenda items. Do folks have other agenda items, other announcements?
I added something else to the agenda there that we can hit.
Okay. Well, great.
If we could look over PR 8182.
I will add it to the agenda.
Cool.
Okay. First agenda item. Okay. Questions, issues, PRs, anything people want to discuss? Bit of an open section. Cool. Everything's in agenda now.
I had a PR. So recently I had reported an issue regarding inconsistent counter resets due to the config purge function. And as a summary for the issue, it is basically that on every config,
Is it cutting out for anyone else?
configuration refresh, a purge network issues, I think. Is it okay now?
It seems better now. Let's try again, and if it still doesn't work, maybe turn off your video, but right now it's working great.
Okay. So as a summary, it is basically that on every configuration refresh, a purge function is called, and this function is supposed to look at keys in RocksDB and delete state for queries that haven't been executed in the last 7 days or so. The issue, though, is that the metadata for these keys are also considered as a part of this purge function. So it looks at the counter or epoch for the query, and it thinks that this is a query that hasn't been scheduled in the last week, and it deletes it. And that causes the counter to reset once every week because it purges it. And I submitted a fix for it recently, like a couple of days ago, and it's my first time contributing to open source. So I wanted to ask you guys what the next steps for it would be and how things would go from here. So yeah, that's why I joined this call.
Well, thank you for contributing.
Thank you.
Next steps are a little bit fuzzy. So to contribute to the Osquery project, you have to be able to sign the CLA agreement, which the linter says you have not signed yet. So that's...
Yeah, so the CLA part, I think we should be fine with signing it because we talked to so I think once the PR is good to be merged, we'll sign the CLA for it.
Okay.
Awesome. And I would recommend sign the CLA as soon as possible, because in some organizations it can take time to get the CLA signed with whatever approvals you need. So consider just starting working on that soon. And I saw related to that, you had the question about what do the copyright headers need to say. I'm dropping a comment directly into the PR review here, showing you what they need to say, which is they can't say copyright Akamai, they have to say copyright Osquery, essentially, but the exact text you can find in pretty much any code in Osquery, but I'll find you an example and paste it in here.
Yeah, I don't know that I have any comments about this specific PR. I don't know this part of the code super well. Anyone else? Zach, this one might fall on you.
Yeah, I don't know it well, off the top of my head, but and this is my first time seeing the PR at this point, but I can give it a review. Right now I'm adding just the comment that I just suggested, and I'm going to do request changes here, and then I'll give it a further review when I have a chance.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for contributing. Always nice to see new faces around.
I guess in terms of general process, we're a pretty small group, and sometimes you have to nudge us to get code reviews. Apologies in advance.
Yeah.
Slack is usually a fine way to get people, even though some days it sounds like shouting into the void. But you can bug us on Slack or pop into office hours. If it's a particularly substantial PR, we recommend trying to get an issue for discussion and buy-in before you undertake a major fix. This doesn't seem like a really substantial PR, so if there's discussion about it, it's usually okay. But
Awesome. Thank you.
I don't know, any other sort of process questions or anything?
Nope, that was pretty much it. So I wanted to bring it here and ask you guys what the next steps would be. That was pretty much it, and get some eyes on it.
Yeah, totally. We're not always super quick about reviewing these things, but I'll definitely make sure that we get it reviewed and have time for any necessary revisions before the next release goes out, which probably won't be it for another 4 to 6 weeks. So don't worry if you haven't heard anything in a week. If you haven't heard anything in 2 weeks, reach out to me. Again, you can post in the the code review channel in Osquery Slack, or you can DM me directly, or you can mention me in the issue or something like that.
Awesome.
There are other folks here that also could probably figure out the code to a necessary extent, so other folks do feel free to jump in as well, but I can get to this eventually.
So I actually have a question about this. So as you described it, the problem is if a query doesn't run in a week, we then the underlying RocksDB thing cleans out the records of that query, which causes the counter to reset.
Yes.
Does this happen for queries that run that infrequently, or what triggers this?
So every configuration refresh, this function is called, and a timestamp is set every time a query is scheduled. And based on this timestamp, it evaluates whether this key has to be purged or not. The purge function also sets timestamps for the metadata keys, like epoch and counter. And it is not updated later on anywhere in whenever a query is scheduled, the counter and epoch keys are not up, the timestamps for them are not updated. So the purge function looks at those keys and it thinks that they are also queries that haven't run in the last 7 days, and it deletes only the counter, for example. And what happens is it submits a differential result, but with a 0 counter.
Okay, so it's only half. So the query is running, but the metadata isn't being updated.
Yeah. And I think the maximum interval for queries in general is a week. So that's why it has that range, saying if it hasn't executed in the last week, then it is as good as not in schedule, and it tries to delete them. But the thing is that it looks at the counter and epoch and other metadata also, the query for that scheduled query it looks at, and sometimes it also says that the query for it has been updated while it has not been. It's just that the key for it has been removed from the store.
Okay. Well, nice find. I wonder how long it's been this way.
Thank you.
Okay. Maybe first off, agenda item is Osquery 5.18.1. So I think that release got cut about a week ago. Thank you, Zach. And been on Fleet's Edge channel for a week. I just pushed it to Collide's Edge channel today, so I don't think we know anything about it.
Yeah, and just noting that the 5.18.1, the only difference is the builder for the Windows binaries was switched back to Windows 2019 from Windows 2022, which leads us to the next agenda item when we get there. But before we do that, so Fleet's been running it for a week. It seems fine. Collide's been running it now
For an hour.
Day. Shall we try to like declare it stable mid next week?
We could try and do it over Slack next week, or we could end up accidentally pushing to next office hours.
Okay, well, let us know how things are going for y'all.
Yeah, if we see anything, we'll flag it. Have you tested on Tahoe at all yet?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
personally didn't. Anyone else at Fleet done that? Yeah.
We are starting to test things on Tahoe, so let me flag this for the people testing. Okay. Next item, Zach, ARM stuff.
Yeah, right. So as I was just mentioning, so GitHub just retired, I think it was now on June 30th, so like 2 days ago. Just retired the Windows 2019 runner that we were using to build Osquery for Windows. There was a relatively simple way to upgrade our action to build on Windows 2022. Seemed to work. The build's completed. The binaries ran fine on x86 Windows, but I think it was Lucas. Is that right? Found, or someone else on the Fleet team found. I think it was Lucas found that the generated binaries would crash immediately on ARM Windows. So we don't know why yet. If anyone has theories, that would be useful. But you know what we did was Lucas reverted the changes to the runners, and we were able to get the new binaries built just before they retired the Windows 2019 runners. So we made it. We got those built. They seem to work, but now we may be in a place where we can't make any further releases until we figure out how to get Windows 2022 to successfully to build Osquery ARM binaries that run successfully. They build successfully, they don't run.
Do we have a good way to test this?
How did you test this, Lucas? Were you running Windows on a VM on a Mac Apple Silicon?
So yeah, basically running any query, even select one would crash on Windows ARM. I was using like a VM on Apple Silicon, which is ARM, like UTM VM. But now that I remember that GitHub added Windows ARM runners, so maybe we can even add some automation to CI at some point to detect this during the build, right? That would be way simpler, but yeah, we'll need to dig to see what's going on.
And Lucas, if I remember, it doesn't even start up like if you try to open an Osquery shell.
So if you just run Osquery version, works, but then when you do like, I think when you, Osquery doesn't work, Osquery D doesn't work. It's just when there's something in the startup that makes it not work. It just crashes with some kind of, I think it's a stack error, but I'm not sure.
Does it crash on Windows 2022? What version of Windows were you testing on?
Good question. I think it was, I forgot if it was 11. I'll check in a second.
So one of my worries I feel like anything we do, we really want to try and get into CI, and I would be a little bit worried that like it runs on Windows 2022 but crashes on 2019, and I don't know if we have any meaningful access to Windows 2019 and CI.
Not anymore. Now that
Yeah.
GitHub retired it.
Like I have a workaround for running unsupported Linuxes, right? Because that's all just in Docker, but don't have a workaround for the older Windowses. Yeah, and I think our ARM builds for Windows coming out of CMake cross builds.
I think they must be, because I don't think we're using any Windows ARM runners.
Yeah, I feel like we're running into some ugly parts of our build system.
Yeah, maybe worth just running, compiling natively now that there's a runner. I mean, in any case, I think we should create an issue and troubleshoot because it's not obvious what's going on. You will need some kind of trial and error.
Yeah, and it's hard to say because the Windows 22 runner probably has a bunch of different like libraries already built into it, and so it could be something to do with those as well. I'm sure the standard library has changed in some ways, and maybe there are other libraries that we're building with that have changed in 2022.
I unfortunately do not have any useful CMake knowledge or any good approach here.
Who
Do y'all
does?
have anything?
Who did the Windows ARM work? Does anyone remember?
Probably Trail of Bits. I think they've usually been the big CMake proponents.
Yes. Let's see. Well, it was originally Artemis who was working for Fleet, who did some of the original work for Arch 64, but I'm not sure that was for Windows.
I feel like, did Artemis do the Linux port?
That might have been, yes, this might be Linux that we're looking at. It's a PR 6284.
Yeah, Lucas, I think it's totally reasonable to open an issue if you haven't already, especially if you can dump that stack trace in it, because maybe there'll be something that the CMake community has talked about and we can Google for. Or maybe we need to, I just don't, I barely know where to start. So
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, I'll create an issue. And add the stack trace.
I do think all of our GitHub Action stuff could probably do with a revisit. It's been several years and there's always changes. So I don't know. Anyone want to talk about anything else about the Windows runner stuff, Windows builds?
I'm not sure what else to say at this point. Someone's just going to have to put the time into figuring out what's going on.
Yeah. I don't think we've got great Windows build people. Do you have anyone?
I'm not sure we have anyone who's an expert, but we have smart people on the team who can try to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I might have people, but no great choices on this one. Do you have anyone who's good at CMake?
Not particularly, I don't think.
Yeah, I feel like the thing we should probably do is try and get a native Windows ARM build running and test that and see if that works. And if that works, we can ditch the cross builds. But I'd take whatever. The Osquery build is not my area. So
Yeah.
okay. Next up, Micah, you want to talk about PR 8182?
Yeah. So this PR is mostly just to update Linux's use of block devices. It updates both tables of block devices and disk encryption. Currently, disk encryption calls block devices to enumerate the block device tree, which makes it so we can't index really very well on either table. So this allows us to index, makes the tables a bit more performant. And as well, it supports a wider range of distributions. And seemingly, Ubuntu is soon going to have some issues, as reported from Dan, with the LVM2 stuff. And this PR does not have the same issue that the current implementation does. So, yeah, Stefano's already given it one review. There have been updates since then. So being able to just get any eyes on it would be great.
Are there like specific concerns here? Or are you just going like, hey, no one's reviewed my PR for a while. I want to get it done.
Pretty much that, yeah.
Okay.
I know we got a couple of comments on this PR like in the last few days from some end user that needed it. And they were requesting some additional fields get populated. I think it might be worth doing the additional fields as a follow-up PR and not changing this one.
Oh, okay. I already pushed that up, but I can
Never mind then.
I can pull that out.
No, don't bother.
Okay.
I was just assuming simpler, but if it's already done, it's done.
Yeah, the only thing is, was the window build checks are failing, but everything else on it is good.
Now I'll re-trigger the broken checks because that might just be. Maybe they're running. Oh. The Windows checks are failing because they're based on the Windows 2019 runner, which is now deprecated. I would probably be fine just merging over that since this is often Linux only land.
So we might want to reapply the 2022 Windows 2022 runner so that we can at least be checking that the CI passes for new PRs that we're merging. We'll just have to be aware that this is just because those PRs are working doesn't mean we're actually going to get an ARM binary working at the end of that.
Just because it's building, if it's producing a build that triggers stack traces, do we know that the build is working?
Well, if we're leaving it on Windows 2019, then we're not getting any Windows testing at all.
Yeah.
So if we leave it on Windows 2022, at least we're catching any unit tests that break on Windows and integration tests that break on Windows on x86 versus catching nothing at all.
I concur. Yeah, we'll just have to. It's not a good state, you know.
No. No, certainly not.
Yeah. Okay, so you needed, Micah, you needed review. Zach, if someone from your team wants to look at this, great. At some point, I'll probably Micah poke me enough, and I'll just thumb it for you because nothing's obviously wrong to me. And I think it'd probably be good for us to get it out in testing.
Yeah, I mean, if it was already reviewed by Stefano and there was just like minor stuff to change, and you did that, like, then another quick review seems good to me.
Stefano, and if anything major, or was it all pretty minor?
Most of it was minor. His only concern was just overall distribution compatibility. But as the end user mentioned, this now seems to be more compatible than the previous method for distributions.
Yeah, this is moving away from dbus, which is kind of hairy, right?
Yeah, we're moving off of libudev. It's just the way it enumerates is not very good for child to parent relations when we're trying to get query context for a specific block device.
I don't know. I'm tempted just to thumb it. Zach, any objections if I just thumb this?
Fine with me.
Okay, I'm approving it. Been lurking for too long. I'm approving it, and I'm gonna merge it in a moment.
And I'm putting up a revert for the runner's PR right now.
Okay, Micah, I'm merging your PR over the Windows failures because your PR should be fine for that.
Okay.
And Zach, I can thumb your revert when you're ready. And Supreet, it sounds like we'll try and get yours reviewed.
Awesome. Thank you.
Zach, is there anything in your ATC for Open Firefox database you want to talk about?
It just needs a review. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I can explain why and what's going on if you want, but
I'm just looking at it. I remember this was. I kind of remember we discovered the immutable flag like at some point, right? Is there a reason we don't just always open with immutable equals 1?
yeah, I tried to document that in the PR, my reasoning there. And
Yeah, you said there might be unintended consequences.
yes, the docs say if the file change, right? The docs say if the file changes, SQLite might return incorrect query results and or SQLite corrupt errors. Because I guess this immutable equals 1 flag tells SQLite that you're on like a read-only volume or something like that. Now, I don't understand why this Firefox database would need the immutable flag because it's not on an immutable volume, but I tried like a whole number of permutations of different options, and this was the only way I could get it to work on the Firefox databases. And I couldn't find any other databases between at least the other common browsers that use this, like Chrome and Edge. They all work fine without this, so I figured might as well leave those ones that we know are working, and try to do this thing that seems to be somewhat warned against in the docs. Leave this for only the desperate case with Firefox. That was my thought.
Yeah, I wonder if there's something about how wall logs or locking works, because I feel like we fought with this ages ago. Does that
Yes,
ring a
we
bell?
yes, we absolutely did, and we already do the things that get around locking. I don't know what it is that that Firefox does specifically that makes this not work. But if you look at, like, say, line 97 up there, we use the SQLite open read only, SQLite open private cache, and SQLite open no mutex. Plus, we use this get system VFS, which disables locking through like the VFS implementation that SQLite uses. And those things are all necessary to get past the regular like wall locking stuff, which like Chrome or Edge won't open otherwise when you remove those things. Then it just comes to, it's not clear to me what Firefox does that makes it so that those things are insufficient.
Other question for you. Do you think it's better to set this, so the way you have this right now is it's detecting an error and then retrying with immutable? Do you think it makes more sense to surface it as an ATC option, or leave it as this sort of implicit?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I contemplated that, like, setting it as an ATC option, and then I was kind of like, well, then the user has to know to set that option in these cases. It's not really clear why. It's not even clear that there are like other cases beyond Firefox here. And it seems, the conclusion I eventually came to is like, I think it's just going to be easier for everyone if we just do this automatically in cases where it seems like it might be necessary.
Okay, that's reasonable. I will approve.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone want to talk about anything else? Okay. In that case, I think we can end a little bit early and take some time back. Thank you all for your ongoing presence and all of the code that you write.
Sweet.
And big welcome, Supreet, for your first PR.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for being here for office hours, and thanks Seth for running it as usual. I will turn off the recording.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.